If you stand in front of the Ames Mill and look north up Water Street, you might think that something is missing. You'd be right. Though it never equaled Division Street, the area on the west bank of the Cannon River was a thriving commercial district in the era when passenger trains ran through Northfield 20 times a day. Close to the town's 2 railroad stations and numerous freight and warehouses on West 3rd Street, it once contained dozens of stores and service businesses instead of the handful of buildings you see today. What happened? The automobile happened. By the 1950s, automobile travel had all but replaced the trains. This greatly increased traffic on the highway that linked the city with St. Paul to the north and Faribault to the south, a road that originally came down Water Street, crossed the river by the mill, passed through Bridge Square, and then continued south on Division. Deciding that traffic would move more smoothly if it did not have to pass through downtown, planners rerouted the highway so that it paralleled the railroad tracks. More than 30 buildings on the west side were demolished to make way for it. Fortunately, the State Bank and the Ebel Block buildings survived. It is safe to say that the State Bank building at the west end of the bridge is one of the most distinctive buildings in Northfield. Indeed, Harry Weil Jones, the Minneapolis architect who designed it, said at its opening in 1910 that another building just like it cannot be found in this country. Built in the Egyptian Revival style, it replaced a much more prosaic structure, a 2-story wood building that was a shoe store for many years before Fred W. Bowl rented the space in 1905, remodeled it, and opened a restaurant which he called the Grill. The venture proved popular, but in 1909 the building's owner, William Pye, and a business partner, decided that the odd-shaped parcel of land it stood on was the ideal place to locate the bank they were going to found. Forced to close the Grill, Bowl went on to purchase and run the Archer House Hotel, which you can learn about in another of our narratives. Choosing to locate the State Bank where they did, close to thriving businesses and the town's 2 other banks, made a lot of sense. But how did its unique design come about? Wondrous archaeological discoveries in the Nile Valley, beginning in the 1890s and culminating with the discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922, had Americans fascinated with Egypt and all things Egyptian. Architect Harry Jones seized on this fashion, made popular by travelogue shows, exhibits, and books, to create something truly distinctive, inside as well as outside, for his clients. The building conveys the perfect image for a bank. The Egyptian design overall, think pyramids and large temples, and the partially sloped walls, called battered walls, suggest strength, stability, and safety. The building's bronze-plated doors opened onto the terrazzo floor of a circular lobby that was topped by a dome of colored glass, the base of which was formed by bending 1.5-inch pieces of birch wood in a steam press. To the right of the entrance doors were the cashier's office and 3 service windows. Along the street side was a customer work alcove with desk, chairs, and a seat set into the wall, as well as an elegant boardroom and a private consultation room. All the furniture was made of mahogany, including a tall, circular, custom-designed customer service table that stood in the rotunda beneath a bronze chandelier. The rotunda itself was defined by 8 pillars that held up wooden beams. The counters were marble, and the teller cage grills were brass. The design was functional as well as fashionable. Across from the director's room was the bank's vault, publicized as being absolutely fireproof. Its ceiling and floor were constructed of steel girders laid an inch apart, then filled with concrete. Its side walls were made of 18 inches of concrete plus a layer of brick, and its steel door weighed 2,200 pounds. Inside the vault was a solid steel double time lock safe that weighed 5,000 pounds. The State Bank proved to be equally sound, operating in a very business-like manner and adhering to sensible principles. These were, as the bank's founders told the Northfield News, in the first place to make all our investments and loans on an absolutely safe basis, and in the second place to favor local institutions, enterprises, or individuals to promote the welfare of Northfield and particularly the farmers. In 1929, just before the stock market crash, the State Bank was purchased by the holding company for Northwestern Bank. Many banks failed during the Great Depression that followed, but not the State Bank, nor any of the other Northwestern banks. This was a point of great pride to Pye, who is quoted as saying, "My banks were kept sound, and no depositor or stockholder ever lost a dollar." After the bank moved to 500 South Water Street in 1962, the Egyptian Revival building was occupied by a law firm and a travel agency, and then from 1976 to 1980 by the Tudor Music Store. In 1981, the building was purchased by the parents of its current owner, David Hvistendahl. They began returning the building to its former glory, inside and out, a process that continues today. Though nearly all of the original furniture and fixtures have been lost over the years, Hvistendahl and law partner Ron Morsch are committed to restoring the building and not merely modernizing it. That has proved to be quite a challenge at times. It took them over 10 years to locate an appropriate chandelier to replace the one that had originally hung in the rotunda. Messrs. Hvistendahl and Morsch would be pleased if you want to take a peek inside the State Bank building. Please do so quietly, so as not to disturb their business. The yellow brick building next door to the State Bank is the Ebel block. William Ebel, after whom it is named, moved to Northfield at the age of 12, shortly after the Civil War ended. In 1876, the year the James Gang tried to rob the First National Bank, the 21-year-old opened a grocery and provision store. By 1894, he was ready to replace the wood-framed building that had stood on the site since the 1860s and build the first two sections of what became the Ebel block. A hardware store moved into the north section, and Ebel moved his general merchandise store into the other one. In 1907, he purchased the wooden building to the south, built a third section, and expanded his business once more. The Ebel block is a wonderful example of turn-of-the-century commercial architecture. Its tall storefronts with their large windows let natural light deep into the store and let the public see the variety of goods available inside. The upstairs, with its tall individual windows, balance the storefronts. The building face is topped with a decorative cornice, all this presenting a picture of order, respectability, and commercial prosperity. Offering his customers the best that money could buy, Ebel operated his store for 65 years, earning high praise as a businessman. He also served as a member and chair of the Rice County Board of Commissioners and a member of the Northfield City Council. Following Ebel's retirement in 1941, at the age of 86, a series of commercial businesses occupied the building, including Anderson Furniture Store, a dry cleaner's, a funeral parlor, an early television store, and the Montgomery Ward store. Purchased by David Hvistendahl in 1998, today the building houses Froggy Bottom's River Pub and Suites and offices of the law firm of Fistendal, Morsch, Dorsey, and Hahn.